It's Cinco de Mayo. What can possibly go wrong for Leaf fans today? You're going to keep your pick. At some point, this is going to turn around. What's that? Chris Johnston has an article. Let's see what he's writing about here. Oh, Azo, thank you for bringing it up. For the listening audience, let me read the tweet that Chris Johnston of TSN and The Athletic put out today. New for The Athletic. Auston Matthews isn't yet sure if he'll be back in Toronto next season. The Maple Leafs are on the clock with their captain.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, that escalated quickly. You think Austin watched the press conference yesterday?
Oh, boy.
Sorry, Auston Matthews wasn't impressed with deep due diligence? He wasn't impressed by that? No? Okay. I woke up to that notification today from CJ. One of the best reporters in Canada. Not sports reporters. One of the best reporters in Canada. I know some of you Leaf fans don't want to hear that. But the best reporters in this country aren't there to make you feel better. They're there to tell you what's happening. If you don't like it, mute. Leave it for the rest of us. CJ's not wrong a lot. Like ever. And a few of us in this room and around the country have gotten to know Chris a little bit. He is a man of honor professionally, and he's not a BSer. Everyone has different types of sources. I understand that. He's been in this game a long time. So I'm going to read you two blurbs from this Athletic article from Chris Johnston. Here's the first. Auston Matthews has 2 years remaining on his contract, but still isn't sure if he'll be back in Toronto in the fall, according to sources. CJ goes on to write the following. The only sales pitch Matthews needs at this stage is real action, according to league sources. Before committing to another season in Toronto, he wants to see a roster that has been meaningfully upgraded through trades and free agency. This isn't about selling him on a fancy 12-point plan or a bunch of vague promises. Seeing is believing. Check out The Athletic for the entire column, but that's the gut of it. And those are the notes that have Leaf Nation in a bit of a tizzy. Less than 24 hours after John Chayka and Matt Sundin were introduced alongside Keith Pelly as the new front office of the Toronto Maple Leafs, while the MLSE interns ate chicken wings in the balcony above. Excuse me, can the rich executive's son and daughter, who's an intern, can you clap now? Can you clap now, please?
So weird.
Thank you. Would you like some hot sauce on the side or just buffalo sauce? Let us know. Let us know. Would you like another mocktail? We can get you another mocktail. Jen and Chet, do you want another mocktail or not? Let us know. Now, we do kind of need the other side of this. And at his media avail at the end of the season, Auston Matthews, who needed MCL surgery after Ratko Gudas cheap shot at him, and no one on the Leafs stuck up for him in the moment. Nobody. Auston Matthews was rather vague. And I think most of us could pick up on that. I know there were some Leaf fans with their heads in the sand, and I get it. But I was on record on this platform as saying back then, on that afternoon, this was not a good day if you're concerned about Auston Matthews. Because he gave you nothing. Zip. To no one's surprise. All of a sudden, Auston Matthews, who's been telling you to go to hell about his injury news forever, is going to be honest with you about that. Sure. And I don't disagree with it. But the feeling on locker cleanout was off. To Matthews' credit, there was no boss. So what is he going to say? We now have bosses at MLSE. GM of hockey operations is John Chayka, who's been a pariah in the league since his Coyotes days, who now is running like the financial crown jewel. Wild. and Matt Sundin is an advisor. We'll get to Matt's a little later on. But we were going through, or I was going through, and Azo, all the media that kind of dropped after the press conference yesterday. The immediate thing I noticed was, and I've been watching the Leafs. I'm 40 years old. I've been watching the Leafs a long time. And especially in the era of 2 sports radio stations in this town, I've kind of known the drill. The drill is you become GM of the Leafs, you do TSN radio, you do the Fan. How that's scheduled, when that happens, it's always up to PR. It's up to the hosts. I've been in that seat. It depends on certain things. But 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, that's the schedule. You might have to tape with one to go on the other and vice versa. There's some ego involved. I've been there. Quite frankly, so was Azo. And it's a normal occurrence when a Leafs GM is hired. Press conference during the day, TSN radio, Fan 590. Unless I'm missing something. Yesterday is the first day I can remember in my life, in the business, in any way, where TSN did not get the GM. I didn't see a Duthie interview. I didn't see a Dreger interview. I didn't see a CJ interview. He wasn't on overdrive. I didn't see anything. TSN's a rights holder still, the last time I checked, for the Leafs. I find that weird. And I honestly, because I'm now outside looking in, I don't know what that means. I know Jeff O'Neill justifiably has been pretty tough on Shaka and the search. But I don't know why a show like Overdrive wouldn't get Shaka on unless the Leafs are terrified. The Leafs are terrified of what they've just done. Whoever made the decision inside MLSE to hire John Shaka really wanted John Shaka, but isn't like comfortable putting him too much out there. Like Overdrive is a bridge too far. All 3 of the guys were in studio yesterday. Like was ready for the interview. Nope, nothing. I can't remember the last time that happened in this town. I cannot remember it. TSN's a player. They are significant hockey producer. They do hockey pretty damn well. Some would say the best. And to have that be the case was an eye-opener. So I want to get that out there because it's been bothering me since I saw it. So I just want to say that, and you take that any way you want to take it. Because it happened. That's the truth. I've never seen that before in this town. TSN Radio and the Fan have split that evenly every time. Every time. Shanahan's hiring, Dubas, Treliving went on like numerous times before things went south. And Treliving's still the best guy in front of the media I've seen in that organization in a long time. Despite the fact he couldn't make a trade. He was really good. Saw that with Ferguson Jr. It was a constant in this city media-wise. And I understand things change. I don't want to be the old guy saying, nah. But like, I found that odd. I found that very, very weird. So that aside, the new Leafs hierarchy did make a series of Rogers appearances yesterday. One was Real Kipper and Bourne. I caught the first 20 minutes of that show yesterday. I didn't see the interview. I'll watch it later tonight. Obviously, Sundin and Kipper have a very good relationship, and so that makes sense. But I did catch Elliott sit down with Chayka and Sundin. With all due respect to Sundin, I didn't find it that interesting. It was Chayka I found very interesting. And if the timeline is correct, because before the press conference yesterday, MLSE put out a photo of the 3 of them, Pelly, Chayka, and Sundin, in the Leafs dressing room. And Elliott's sit down with John Chayka was in a very oddly lit Leafs dressing room. I'm under the impression Elliott did those interviews before the press conference, which means Chayka was a bit more relaxed, which means I think we got better stuff. So I'm going to spend the next little bit with Azo here and go through what Elliott got, because I thought Elliott did a very good job. Yeah, for those listening, we threw the photo up of what MLSE tweeted out. So I'm going to assume Elliott did this interview before the press conference. Chayka felt and sounded more relaxed. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I probably would as well. Friedge is disarming. He knows what he's doing. I get it. But let's start with Matthews, considering Chris Johnston has launched a grenade here in terms of Auston Matthews doesn't know whether he's back in the fall. That's a strong statement. Auston Matthews isn't happy is very different from Auston Matthews doesn't know if he's going to be here. That's severe. Now, this conversation between Friedge and John Chayka, the new GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, happened before this report came out, in all fairness. So that's the context, obviously, of it. But Elliott did ask about Auston Matthews. Chayka talks a bit about the relationship, which some people are debating, between Matthews and Chayka, and then goes on to talk about Matthews. Here it is.
Matthews.
Yeah.
Let's take hypotheticals here.
Okay.
At some point, you're going to meet with him.
Yep.
First of all, what's your relationship with him? We've heard a lot about that.
Yeah. I was lucky to be general manager when Auston was coming up before his draft year even. And, just to see him in that community and see him engaging with people. And, the skill level is obvious at that age even. But the type of person he is really stood out. And, he was friends with a lot of our players and he was always around. And so, just got to know him through that. I was also lucky to spend some time with his family. Again, I'm just in the area. Wonderful people, world-class people. Really, tells a story of how Auston was raised, and I think that matters when you're talking about a challenge like Toronto. I think as time's gone by, I know Judd, I know again his dad, and spent a lot of time around the group. But I'd say this is a different position, and we're going to build a different relationship. And he's the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He holds a big stake in everything we do. And I want to go and listen and hear what he has to say.
I heard in a lot of the interviews, it was very clear that people felt, who were interviewing for the job, that if they're going to be successful here, Auston Matthews must be convinced to stay. And I think the organization wants that too, correct?
Correct.
How do you convince him that you can go on the right path here?
Yeah, I think Austin's ultimate goal is the same as ours. So it's a shared goal, common goal. And, it's both Matt's and our job to, meet with him and understand his perspective. Again, we're joining. He's been here. He's the captain. He's got a good feel for things. We want to hear, his view and hear how he thinks about things and what he thinks needs to be improved. And then we're going to, share our vision as well. Matt's and I have a lot of ideas on things. Matt's from being a captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, being in the locker room, being a successful NHL player, the hardest working guy, the leader, the most humble, and I think on my side, a lot of thoughts around roster construction, team building, and not just for one day or one move or one season. Like we want to show him a long-term vision that can get him excited.
That was John Chayka yesterday with Friedge. We have a lot more of that coming because there was some good stuff Friedge got, very good stuff. John Chayka mentioned roster construction. I want to read this line from CJ's article one more time, okay? Because there's been some good reporting on this in this town. I think what Chris Johnston did this morning is the biggest of the lot. This is no joke what he threw out there today. And this is from Matthews' camp. This is Judd Moldaver. This is everyone's aligned here on Team Matthews. This line I can't shake in CJ's column. Before committing to another season in Toronto, Matthews wants to see a roster that has been meaningfully upgraded through trades and free agency. Do yourself a favor and look at the Leafs roster. How in the world does anyone, and I mean anyone, I don't care if Julien Brisebois, Bill Zito, and Jim Nill walk through the door with Doug Armstrong. I don't care if that's your front office. Who in the world in the next 4 months is turning this roster old, slow, indifferent, immature, and locked into no trades into a competitive outfit? We're talking 4 months. It's not reasonable. It's not a reasonable request, which is why something else has happened here that I don't think fans realize. Matthews knows that's an unreasonable request. Guys, he's gone. He's gone. He's never playing another game for this team again. That request he just made, he knows they can't do. So he is making them the bad guy. Unlike that idiot Marner, he is not going to pin this on the fans or being bothered at Scadabouche or I don't know what else he's going to come up with. Auston Matthews' strategy is now clear. Improve the team in 3 months or I'm gone. They can't do that. You know they can't do that. This is a staggering piece of reporting from Chris Johnston. He's gone, guys. It's over. They're not going to be able to do it. Who are you going to get for Morgan Riley to satisfy Auston Matthews? You're going to get a top-line winger? What are you smoking? It took less than 24 hours. We had a feeling there might be something today when we walked through the door, coming off that press conference. Boy, did we have it. CJ's as serious as a heart attack with this. Leaf fans are like, oh, it's garbage. This report's nothing. Guys, he's gone. He is going to set up a situation where they can't deliver. And he knows it. And he will make them look like the bad guy. And he will decide where he goes. And the Leafs will just take it and like whatever the return is. You're not getting Quinn Hughes for this. That's not how this is going to work. I understand Leaf fans will disagree with everything I said because everything's amazing. Everything's amazing. Right, because you just didn't see another superstar walk out of there a year ago. Because the Leafs are that organized, right? Because the Leafs are that organized. We're in one now. We're in one now. I read something very simple in that. He's gone. Auston Matthews has played his final game as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Unless Chayka and Sundin are miracle workers, and I got news for you, they're probably not in 4 months. We are in for quite the summer here in the Toronto sports market. Quite the summer. I did wake up a little positive today. Believe it or not, I did. It's Cinco de Mayo. We're going to eat some quesadillas later. Draft lottery tonight. Leafs might actually catch a break. Out of the 1,001 combinations that could happen tonight, maybe the Leafs get one. Maybe they get one. And then this report from Chris Johnston in The Athletic. I understand any Leaf fan who's mad at this reporting. I understand any Leaf fan who is like, this is ridiculous. The media. Your hockey team doesn't know what it's doing. And the players know it. That's not the media's fault. You need to take this report very seriously from CJ. Very seriously. And for people walking in the wilderness today who are Leaf supporters who don't think this is that big a deal, you are about to get run over by an 18-wheeler. Like that scene in the video for Enter Sandman when the kid's running. Remember that scene? One of the great songs of that era. Kid thought he was fine, and then he has to run, and then the truck hits the bed, and the kid knows, you got a problem. This report is the truck hitting the bed. Leaf fans have a problem here. I have a sneaking suspicion John Chayka's not up for it. I have a sneaking suspicion Keith Pelley not up for it. But in terms of Chayka and Sundin, like, I know it's been a tidal wave of negative press. In fairness, usually any of us in high school or college or university, when you start a semester, the exam comes at the end. The exam's going to come at the beginning for them. Good luck. The exam's been pushed up. No lessons. No seminars. Nope. The exam's like 30 days away. The entire sales pitch that Chayka and or Sundin made to people internally gets thrown in the garbage if Matthews walks and forces a trade, which he can. That's what no trade movements are all about. And this is now an impossible situation for MLSE. One last thing before I bring in Azo. For all the people inside MLSE who were looking forward to a retool, you are SOL. Because if Matthews walks, to the studs. There is no other option. You are going to pay the NHL $10 billion for hockey, and the Leafs will be the least valuable TV property in the game. They will be nothing. This rebuild is about to start if this plays out this way. Look out. You watched the whole video. You're the best. A reminder, the Sid Seixeiro Show is live, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Monday to Friday, right here on YouTube. Click like, hit subscribe if you want to support the show. If you've already done that, you're our friend.